indeed a great occasion to have this free film festival from South Africa. Special because we are so much connected to South Africa in so many ways. Right from the times of Mahatma Gandhi, we have had such intense relationship through the thick and thin of their struggles. We have been there with them and they have been with us. And Mr. Mandela, who passed away recently, had a special place in the Indian heart. And the way the society has transformed from a clearly a unjust regime to a multiracial, just regime in a harmonious way stands out in history as one of the best examples of how a transition can be done without bloodshed, without carrying forward the hatred. This is something from which we can also learn so much.
But it's always a pleasure to be with ICF for me. The first reason why I am here, and this is a South African Film Festival, I have other interests in South Africa as a country which I have visited a couple of years ago. But before all that is my interest in the Indo-Cine Appreciation. This whole group with whom I have been interacting closely for the past couple of years, 4-5 years, Tangaraj sir. So when he called me whether I would come, I said, this is not something we expect. I don't expect to be treated as special, to be called like a guest to light the Kuttuvilakku or anything in ICF, because I feel I am part of everyone here, a member in ICF, because that is what ICF has been doing. Every month they have a festival and we keep asking, why do you want to do that? Why don't you just work on quarterly programs? But you know, we can never put that sense into this man because he's so passionate about what he does. Over Masmo, every month he brings out a program, and it's very interesting how he gets all of you all involved in this, which is, I think, excellent networking. I've had the pleasure of traveling to the Cannes Film Festival with this whole group. I think those are times when we really get to know each other and we share our passions, through which we are building a stronger community of Chennaiites who look at world cinema and who will re-look at Tamil cinema in different ways, not just as entertainment, but entertainment as well as a deeper social comment and observation on things in society, and as a documentation, historical documentation of social practices. That is how I think many of us look at cinema. I think my first introduction to South Africa was when I was reading about Mahatma Gandhi as a primary school student. My experiments with truth. So while reading a book, South Africa, became colorful, presented itself as a nation which had influenced the father of my nation. And further on, following when Nelson Mandela got the Nobel Award and so many other things, and how Gandhiji had inspired Mandela, which he was repeating, until his end. And that way there was a lot of exposure to what South Africa was in some ways. So in 2008, when I took a trip to South Africa, it was really an opening for me to go through Johannesburg and taking the ostrich ride, the typical tourist things, but doing other stuff too. So I think this three festival, there's a press friend, a Tamil press friend who had called me when I mentioned that I'm just going here, because he said South African films, you want to watch it. I think the first film was Gods Must Be Crazy, and I think District 9 was a film I've been wanting to catch because of what it is, and I think it is done by a native South African. Because often for Hollywood cinema and a lot of other cinemas, South Africa as a subject is interesting. But it's interesting to hear voices from South Africa make comments about South Africa. That way we look forward to all the three films here.
It's good to see our friends from South Africa lighting the Diwali lamp and celebrating Diwali. And it's not only bringing the South African film, good films to Chennai, they also brought good rains to Chennai. I think they deserve our double kudos for that. I was looking at the history of South African film industry, and I find that their film industry is as old as Indian film industry. They also started early 20th century, started making films, and over a period of years, they have developed a good, strong film industry, which is not only vibrant, and they make some wonderful films as well. I was looking at the prize-winning films made in South Africa. Some of them are listed like as ma'am was referring to. Then Sotsi, Yesterday, and You Kaman I Khatfalia. So there are quite a few good films which have been made in South Africa. Not only South African film industry is doing well, even the foreign filmmakers find South Africa a great location for making their films. So you must have seen many English movies which have great South African locales as their place for shooting. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, who went as a barrister to South Africa, came back as a freedom fighter to India. So it is the water, the air, and the political climate of South Africa which made Mahatma what he ultimately became. So it's a tribute, I think, to Mahatma Gandhi and also their great leader Nelson Mandela.
The history of South Africa and India dates back more than 152 years ago. And this is the bond that since then has existed between the people of South Africa and the people of India. By the time the barrister came to South Africa, already the people of South Africa and people of India have already shared both the pain and the sufferings that has been meted by the colonial masters by that time. So this bond has started a long time ago. One of my friends was saying, arguing that it's more than 5 generations to 6 generations ago. It's long, long time ago, but it seems as if it was yesterday. When Mahatma Gandhi came to South Africa, and when he came back here to India as a liberator, we as South Africans knew that we have produced an outstanding leader who has even fought for our rights. So the Indian people in India should not claim him alone. He is our own hero. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the first South African film ever hosted here in India and first in Chennai. This film festival takes place within the context of the 20th anniversary of our freedom. 20 years ago, President Nelson Mandela became the first democratically elected president of the Republic. And 20 years later, we then had our first South African Film Festival in Chennai. Our country has become a prime location for film production, including India. Many of you would know now that one of India's biggest award-winning films was shot in Cape Town, Slumdog Millionaire. In fact, more and more Bollywood filmmakers have interest in South Africa as a location. We should indicate that it is really very cheap in terms of low cost production to do movies in South Africa. And therefore, one of other things is to encourage filmmakers to come to South Africa to do movies. Of course, if ever you have local content, the Department of Trade and Industry in South Africa will assist you in monetary terms to ensure that some of the movies become success. So we would appeal most of you and those who, especially those who are in the industry, to look to Cape Town, Johannesburg, and so on as destinations to do these movies. This month of October has been dedicated by South African government that in India we must celebrate it as a key moment of celebrations of the 20th anniversary of freedom. As we do so, we don't forget one of our outstanding leaders in our liberation struggle, who was born during this month of October, President Oliver Tambo, who has crisscrossed the world and ultimately had been to India most of his time, mobilizing the Indian people to support our struggle against apartheid, for which India has been the first country in the world to denounce apartheid. And for that, we will forever indebted to the peoples of India for their heroic struggle and the heroic support and solidarity to the people of South Africa in their fight against apartheid. I thank you.
Privilege and prestige for organizing the festival first time in India, as well as for the officials who have been able to come to spare valuable time. In fact, for the last 4 days there was a holiday in Delhi, and then when I requested them, no, they are all coming, don't worry like that also. So they got the news and they've been kind enough to come over here, inspire us for the rain. So on behalf of Indonesian Appreciation Foundation, we like to thank the Deputy High Commissioner, so the First Secretary for the Office of High Commission to come over here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.